What do you think about when you're in a movie theater watching a movie? Are you paying attention to the lighting design or the main actor's horrible accent? Maybe you're enjoying yourself. You're letting the world fall away and you're having a truly immersive experience. Or, like me, are you spending the whole time thinking up one-liner Letterboxd reviews that you can post and then it'll get 2 likes and inevitably be lost to time? Let's talk about Letterboxd. Letterboxd is a lot of things, but I think it can be best summed up as a social media site that revolves around logging and tracking film consumption. In the website's own words, we've been described as like Goodreads for movies. This is a wild thing to put on your website from a branding perspective, but essentially it's true. You can use Letterboxd to track the films you watch, see how other people review them, and it can be used on a bigger scale to gauge public interest in a movie. Using it is streamlined and simple, and you can kind of carve out the way that you want to use it. You can mark films as watched, or you can log them with the diary feature, complete with a review. A review that can be one line that's stupid, or it can be paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of in-depth thoughts about a film. You can rate the scale from 1 to 5 stars, including half stars if you would like to use them. You can create lists of films, and if you'd like, you can make them ranked. You can add tags to your reviews and lists to your heart's content. And placed front and center on your profile page will be your top 4 favorite films, the selection you have chosen to collectively represent your taste in movies. I started using Letterboxd back in 2020. My first diary entry is January 2nd, but I'm like 99% positive I started using it in June and then retroactively added some film watching experiences. I genuinely wish I could tell you how Letterboxd crossed my radar, but I don't remember when I started using it. For me, there's before Letterboxd and there's after Letterboxd, but I have no idea what caused that change. I assume that it came from being in my first year of college and being in classes, film classes, with a bunch of people who weren't paying attention, so they were using Letterboxd. Either that, or it came from using TikTok. Since my mysterious introduction to Letterboxd, I have been hooked. Since I started my account, I have logged almost 2,000 film watching experiences. I've written over 1,300 reviews. I use Letterboxd basically every single day, even when it's a day that I don't even watch a movie. I've only been realizing it recently, but this app is a pretty big part of my day-to-day life. And the way that I use Letterboxd might not be the way that other people do. I don't mean to say that I use it particularly strange, it's just that I kind of have no comprehension of the different ways that people use it. Before using Letterboxd, I was certainly someone who liked movies, but it wasn't a big part of my life. When I started using Letterboxd, I actually was in the process of making the decision to not pursue filmmaking. In college, I started doing film production and then realized, oh, I don't really like this. So I started leaning more into media studies. I liked to talk about film, but it was pretty low on the list of media types that I enjoyed talking about. But now I can see the number of films I watch every single year grow. For 2023 and 2024, I watched more films than there are days in a year. Now, to be fair, a lot of those were short films, but it's still staggering. I certainly was not watching this many films before I started using Letterboxd. So I'm not sure if I was drawn to Letterboxd because of my developing love of movies, or if Letterboxd fostered a developing love of movies. But I'm at a point where I don't like to admit it, but I'm kind of a film bro. Like, I get excited to see things in 35mm now, like a dork. I have a Criterion collection with fancy Blu-rays and a subscription to Mubi. And I wish I were saying that because I'm sponsored. I'm not. I'm just a nerd. Realistically, my love of film probably started with an interest that was already there, it being fostered by Letterboxd, and being encouraged by being in film classes. Because if you do a media studies degree, you will spend a lot of time talking about movies. Even if all that you want to do is write about YouTube, they will make you watch movies. And I had some really cool professors in college who really loved film, and I think that they wanted their students to also love film, and it absolutely worked on me. I think that everything just came together perfectly to make me a Letterboxd using cinephile. I also hate the word cinephile. But one strange thing is I don't really remember when using Letterboxd became such a big part of my movie watching experience. I don't remember when I started paying for Letterboxd Pro. Though I do remember when I started paying for Letterboxd Patron. I give this company $49 a year, mostly so I can change the posters on the movies I watch. It brings me a lot of joy, but it's very silly. I have logged at least one film a week since October 2022. That was years ago. I haven't gone a week in at least 2 years without watching a movie. And in the last 2 years, I've done a lot of things that I would think would result in not vlogging a movie for a week. I went to Yellowstone twice. I've moved 3 times. But no. I've convinced a lot of friends to start using the app. And that is actually pretty fun because when you're with a group of people, the movie ends, you all spend a few minutes writing up a review, and then you talk about it, you read each other's reviews. I think it's kind of fun. So Letterboxd isn't terrible. Clearly, I love it. It's helped facilitate my desire to watch films. It's really helped me keep track of what I've seen. And I like the sense of community that it can bring. But I think things might have taken a turn when I got a little too obsessed with Letterboxd. Probably within the last year and a half or so, and I think it kind of started with tags. While I did grow up as a critically online teenager with media obsessions, I didn't really use Tumblr. And a big reason of why is that I didn't understand the tagging system. Just genuinely, I didn't understand it. I didn't start regularly using my Tumblr account until it hit the 10-year anniversary, which was pretty recently. And that's because using Letterboxd made me understand tags. I understood what it meant to tag a review, and I started going tag crazy. It started pretty simple, with me tagging things that I thought were relevant. I'd tag Keanu when I watched a movie he was in. I would tag, watch this for class, when I watched something for class. And then I started to keep track of who I saw the film with. I would tag my friends, or my mom, or a pet, or whoever was in the room. And then I was just tagging things in films that I liked. Hall of Mirrors sequence. Someone drank a Corona. And eventually, I was tagging where I saw the movies. And I think this is where it got a little weird. Now, I'm obviously not famous or anything. And I don't have thousands of people watching me. Except sometimes I do. And sometimes I remember that all of my friends and mutuals can see what I do on Letterboxd. And while I wasn't putting an address into the Letterboxd review, I was putting the movie theater I saw it in. I was saying, oh, I'm at my friend's apartment. And that made me worried for a couple reasons. One is safety. Maybe I shouldn't be broadcasting where I regularly see movies. Maybe I shouldn't be broadcasting where I am currently right as the movie ends. Maybe I shouldn't make my habit something that can be seen by anyone. Maybe I should have learned a lesson or two from one of the many cybersecurity programs I've had to complete. But the other thing that struck me was how much I was monitoring my movie viewing experience and how much of my life it was taking up. I had started to think that I should go through my thousands of Letterboxd logs and tag where I saw it, who I saw it with, what service I watched it on, and any other relevant tags. I was spending a lot of time just looking through my own Letterboxd page and just staring at it, looking at the lists that I made, looking at the tags. It was kind of weird. It kind of feels like I was looking at my own work, like I was evaluating okay, this is something I've curated. How would it play to an audience? It was a lot of curatorial work on my part, and I just think I was getting a little obsessed. Letterboxd has started guiding my film viewing in a very strong way. My watch list has accumulated hundreds of films in the past couple of years, and it is always looming above me. And when I'm ooh, I want to watch a movie, I'm no, I need to watch something off that watch list. That watch list keeps expanding because I add whatever my friends are watching. If I'm at a movie theater or a film festival and someone I don't know recommends me something, I'll probably put it on the list, even if I'm not interested. Things are on there because I feel like I should see them and not necessarily because I want to. And I can tell you with certainty that there is not a movie I've watched in the past couple of years that I didn't log on Letterboxd. I've started spending the experience of watching a film thinking about what my star rating will be, what my review will say. And I've thought a lot about my Letterboxd top 4 favorite films. I've thought, What do they say about me? How would I explain them to another person? What if the Letterboxd mic is in front of me and I have to explain my 4 favorites? All this to say, I think about this app too much. I give them money, I give them a lot of data regarding my movie consumption. And my relationship to the service has started to define my identity as somebody who likes movies. The gamified elements of stats and maps and lists make me all the more excited to watch movies. And I have wondered, without it, would I still care? Like, I think I would. I don't think all of a sudden I wouldn't care about movies. But I don't actually know that. Now, I think we're at a point where we should discuss, why does this matter? I have recently been realizing just how much of my life is spent consuming media. It seems like any time that my headphones could be on, playing a YouTube video or a movie or an audiobook, they are. While I'm making dinner, while I'm taking a walk, while I'm just taking a shower, I'm always consuming media. I have access to more media than I could ever possibly consume in a lifetime, and it feels like a pressure to not waste any time. I can't let a single moment go to waste. If my eyes and ears are idle, then I need to fill the void. But for one thing, that is an excellent way to zap all creative energy you could have to make something. There are so many times that I sit down to write something or to make a video or to create something, and then I'm like, nah, I'm gonna watch a movie. And then I don't feel up to creating anything anymore. And this also makes me worry that I am consuming so much media as a way of distracting myself from the world around me. And I hate that this thought keeps coming into my head, because I'm usually someone who's pretty opposed to those viewpoints that are like, all media is a distraction. They're just distracting you from capitalism, which is a fair viewpoint to have, but it's not one that I usually resonate with. Horkheimer and Adorno described mass media as the culture industry, saying that art has become commodified, putting humans into a state of distraction, destroying imagination. Now, I can't deny that art has been commodified, but I do think it's an oversimplification to say that media is just used to distract. So much of the media I consume makes me think, it makes me feel, it inspires me, it can cause actual, tangible social change. Media can be art. Media can appeal to emotion. Therefore, through empathy, it can change how people see the world. What is seen and expressed through media can define social meanings. But of course, that can be manipulated. And I can guarantee that not every single piece of media I consume is doing good. The movie Selfie Dad probably isn't doing much for my psyche. And it kind of sucks how much media consumption is incentivized and encouraged. Algorithms' purpose is to keep us on a platform for as long as possible. And the ability to track my media consumption just makes me want to track more, because I'm given a little digital reward for it. This speaks to something beyond Letterboxd. We live in the quote digital age where consuming media is made really convenient. It's the convergence of there being so much access to media and there being so much of it. It's great that things are made more accessible, but it's overwhelming. In a very simple way, I want to keep up to date with everything, and there is more in this world than we could possibly ever stay up to date with. Maybe Horkheimer and Adorno weren't entirely wrong, because my life is being consumed by movies and YouTube and music and media. So much media. On one hand, I love media. I consume media, I make media, and my future career is more likely than not going to be studying media. It's a big part of my life, but it's all-consuming. It's overwhelming when everything is media, and all media is right in your face. I just think it's oversaturated my life. While I love Letterboxd, and I'm not likely to stop using it, I've realized maybe I need to change my habits. The service, which is media in its own right, has warped the way that I approach movies. It's restructured the way I consume film. My watch list influences what I'll watch next. I'm usually thinking about my review while I'm watching the movie. And I spend a lot of time scrolling through reviews, seeing what other people say, which oftentimes influences how I felt about it. My star ratings tend to match my friends, and if I read a review that I strongly disagree with, I'll probably rate the movie higher or lower than I previously would have simply because I disagree with this person and I want my star rating to reflect theirs. I watch new things because everyone else is watching them, and sometimes I will force myself to watch something bad just to say that I finished it. I could have turned off Emilia Perez when it got so bad that I out loud in my room said, wow. But no, I finished it. And I have the Letterboxd review to prove it. But is it an entirely bad thing that I like Letterboxd this much? Being constantly entertained, not a good thing. Changing my viewing habits because of an app probably isn't good. And being distracted while I'm actively watching a movie because I'm thinking about how I'm going to write about it? No, I don't like that. But I also really enjoy Letterboxd, and I get a lot of satisfaction from seeing the media I've consumed displayed in a dataset. I don't know if this is just my own personal issues with perfectionism, completionism, and obsession shining through, or if there's other people out there that identify with these feelings. It's not like I'm going to stop using Letterboxd. I'm not going to stop loving movies. But it is striking how much a singular app can influence my life. And in a broader picture, how this is just one app in a series of platforms and apps and technologies that change the way I interact with the world. It freaks me out, and ultimately, I don't really know what to make of it. So is Letterboxd bad for us? No, I don't think so. I would much rather be obsessed with this movie app that I spend max 1 hour on per day than obsessed with TikTok, where hours and hours can pass by and you won't even realize it. But I just wonder how these prominent forms of technology change the way we interact with the world and with each other. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. Technology can just change so quickly, and it seems like before I even realize it, it's changed me. Unlike most of the videos that I make on this channel, this was virtually free of research and is kind of a stream of thoughts. It's closer to like a true personal essay. So now more than ever, I would really like to hear what you think about this topic in the comment section. I don't even know what point I'm making in this video. I'd like to know how other people use Letterboxd, and if I'm truly alone in this all-consuming obsession. Maybe not all-consuming, but it's a lot. Maybe I'm the only one who has a potentially distressing relationship with an app on my phone. And this video is part of a 2-video set, and the other video should be up on my channel right now. And it focuses on mostly year in review data sets and like datafication of self-identity. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. If you'd like, you could leave me a like. Please subscribe. Please. In the description of this video, you can find my Ko-fi, my Instagram, and my Letterboxd. Which of those 3 do you think I use the most? And with that, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Actually, once in my life, I did have the Letterboxd mic in front of me. I had gone to this early screening for a film, and at the end of it, there was just like a line, and they're like, do you want to be interviewed by Letterboxd? And I was like, sure, why not? So I get up to the microphone, and she's like, give me a star rating of this movie. And I didn't like the movie. So I said, oh, I don't usually give star ratings. My first lie, I do. And then instead of letting it go, they were like, no, like, if you were to give it a star rating, what would you give it? And I said something like, 4 stars. It was a really emotional movie, and if I see it again, it might even be a higher rating. Which was a lie. On actual Letterboxd, I gave the movie a 3, which is way too generous because I didn't like it at all. I hope that footage never sees the light of day because it's haunting me. I lied straight into the Letterboxd microphone. Twice.